that were discussed, I know, with Stoddard County superintendents this week, along with our county commissioner and things like that, of course, is graduation. What we found out through our commissioner and our EMTs and, or not EMTs, EMS, and those kind of things, is that pretty much we're going to be able to keep graduation on our graduation dates. Now, again, the Stoddard County schools are a lot smaller than the Cape Jackson schools, St. John. Roseanne, I know that you're with Seth, so Levi, I don't know what's really going down there in St. Francis County. Tiffany, I'm not quite for sure what's going on with you all, but I do know that we are small enough that we're going to be able to have somewhat of a, I say normal, but somewhat of a graduation that at our school, because we're smaller, where we are going to have an outdoor graduation and we are going to have tables set up, and those tables are going to be considered pod areas for those families. It's going to be a limited number of family members. 10 to 12 is all that they're going to allow us to have. And within that area is where the graduate families are going to be. So those are the things that we found out. Now, again, Bell City only has 13 graduates. We only have 34. Richland has, I think, 17 or 20. So we're talking much smaller graduation sizes. I know Dexter, Puxico, they are going to do where the people are sitting in their cars. They're going to have an FM radio station, be able to do a broadcast on their FM radio station. They are going to have screens up so that they can broadcast in a Facebook Live. Graduates are actually they'll have the cars sitting facing the stage. The graduates will then drive through in their cars, walk up on stage, grab their diploma. If they're a valedictorian or whatever, they will say their speech, walk down from the stage, and then drive their car and line up for a parade to go through town. So many different opportunities, many different things. Tom O'Crew, for those of you that aren't MLDS, I am going to send out some information that he sent in regards to teacher celebration for appreciation, graduation celebration that he sent out. I hope Tom doesn't mind me sharing that. Thank you, Tom. But it has some wonderful celebration things that you can do, just for some things that are coming up and just some ways that you can celebrate. But that was available through MLDS. So those were some things that we can do. So I hope that those are some things that we can share with everybody. Hold on just a moment. Sorry about that. Okay. So, and then, like we said, I know that the governor is going to be opening things back up. And I know that the big scenarios for most of us is, what are we going to do as we try to open our schools up for kids to come back and drop off things that, of course, belong to the school, such as textbooks, Chromebooks, those kind of things, when we need them to, and pick up their own personal belongings that were left in lockers, whether if it be gym lockers or those types of things. So I know how we are going to handle things here at Advance. The last week that we were to be scheduled in school, except for our seniors, of course, will graduate May 9th. So we are bringing them in May 6th. And then they're doing it through an alphabetical order. We're bringing in 6 at a time for a 30-minute period so that they can do what they need to do, see all of their high school teachers. And then the week of May 11th through the 16th, we are bringing in our students grades K through 11 and bringing them in through the times of 9 through 2, 9 a.m. at 2 p.m., and we're just letting them come in 10 at a time. And we are having elementary come in at one entrance. We are having 7th, 8th, and 9th come in at a different entrance, and then 10 and 11 come in at another entrance, so that there's still social distancing between everybody, since their lockers are at different hallways and their teachers are at different hallways, so that we can still maintain that building code, that 25% that the governor was talking about yesterday during his speech, so that we don't have that overcapacity at each area of the building. I don't know if you heard what he said, but that buildings were going to be able to open up, restaurants were going to be able to open up, but they would only be able to hold about a quarter or 25% of whatever their building capacity was. So that's what he was talking about. So we did some number crunching yesterday, and every day we can do about 103 students, but about 12 at a time per each grade chunk level, based upon building square footage at that time. So I don't know if that helps anybody based upon what he said yesterday to do your numbers. And I don't know if anybody saw what KY3, which is the Kentucky news that we use down here in Southeast Missouri, but they were talking, and I know that it has been talked about in the past, that snow days next year could possibly be combined with virtual learning days, since this has occurred. And I know that there has been talked in the past that then those snow days would not count against, school districts anymore, that it would be considered a true learning day when you were off school. So I don't know if that's coming down the pipeline. Doug and Clark might have more information about that with the legislation and things like that. And I don't even know if they're talking about that. Again, I have heard, and I'm sure Doug and Clark have heard, so many different scenarios about what the fall is going to look like. I've heard Kerwin, if you've tuned into him or if you watched the video recording about, what football and all sports will look like, and contact sports, and if they're even going to occur, and are we going to have A and B days? Are we still going to have virtual learning days when the fall comes in? There's so many unknowns. So, I'm going to open it up now for questions and comments and anything else that you all would like to talk about.
Gina, to go off your graduation on Wednesday or tomorrow at 10 o'clock,
yes,
we're going to have Jostens as a statewide Zoom and talk about graduation options. I know that it may not impact you, Gina, because you're a little bit smaller, and maybe some of the others that are small, but it's not going to be a bad idea to listen to their ideas. Maybe some of those will come across as good things for you, and even the bigger schools, I think, give some options on what you can or can't do. I know 25% capacity. I don't know how long they talked about that capacity going, but 25% of building facility is not very big.
We looked at having an indoor graduation, and that would be, even with as small as our kids are, that's 4 people per student. That's very hard. We have one student that has 6 siblings. She wouldn't even be able to invite all of her brothers and sisters. So that's a lot of constraint on our students. And we just didn't feel like that was what was best for our students.
So you moved outside and that helps bypass that. They just have to keep the social distancing piece is what
yes,
really the parameter then? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Gina, did the governor give a length of time that he was looking at that 25% of capacity, or just for a while until I guess, more data comes in?
It's going to be data driven, and he said at least until the end of May, 1st of June. And again, yesterday there was a heckler in the back, so some of his stuff was kind of muffled and you couldn't really hear it. But most of it, and I'm waiting for the transcript to get up on his website so we can read it. But he said, I know for sure until the end of May, 1st of June. And again, he's just waiting on that data to come, because, you know, they're looking at those 14-day periods to see if there's an increase or a decrease in the drop of the people that are being, you know, tested, and if there's a drop or an increase in instances of people that are starting to get it or recover from it. So everything is going to be data driven, he said.
Have you guys, I know graduation's a big item, but anyone talking about how they're doing their senior honors or senior awards ceremonies, or maybe your end of school awards ceremonies? Maybe they're not just seniors. How are you doing that virtually, social media, etc.?
Well, we just talked about that yesterday and have a plan in place. So we will do on the 18th, which is their original graduation date, we have from 4:30 until 7, where we're going to have a certain group of kids that come through. They can have a total of 2 cars. The student will drive through, we'll give them the awards that they received in a packet, including any scholarships. They'll come around, they'll have an opportunity to get their picture taken in their cap and gown, and then they'll leave, all keeping socially distant. And then that evening at 8:20 for the 2020 concept, we are going to actually be having virtually on Facebook Live or either live streaming, we haven't decided, the award ceremony, where we have teachers that are giving awards, doing a video. We have families that are giving awards for different reasons. For scholarships, we're having them do a video, and we'll promote that video throughout Facebook and through live stream. And that'll go from 8:20 until we're done.
Deborah, where are you having it at? Are you having it like at the ball field, or are you having it in your auditorium or in your gym, or where are you having the families and everybody else doing that?
For the scholarship, they will connect only virtually. We will probably be housed somewhere in the building and just be sharing the different awards, and we'll be recorded as well, but families will have to tune in virtually in order to attend.
I see Mitch Nanny says from Meadow Heights, we are posting our winners for academics and athletes K through 12 on our Facebook page, and all students have time for that. So that's what Meadow Heights is doing for their awards. At Cape Central, Bryce Beck says we're putting together a virtual end of the year award ceremony using video and slideshow format that can be shared through multiple media formats. So at Cape Central, and that I'm sure is going to be quite a big show with as many students as Cape Central has. Seth, have you guys decided to do anything like that at Jackson, or are you still in the works? Oh, we can't hear you, Seth. Nope. You can type it out.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
I don't know what the issue is. I don't know. I feel like I have a decent computer and I always have microphone issues. So maybe it's just all the Zoom meetings that we have.
It could be.
Yeah, our biggest deal is really, just trying to figure out the technology piece to it. And I feel like we have a lot of help with that, but at the same time, it's kind of challenging putting all that stuff together. But we're trying to put together a virtual award show just like we've kind of done in the past. And that is just something that we'll share with our families and share just like with CAPE through a couple different media outlets. Other than that, like we're going to try to keep our graduation to the same ceremony and have that outside in June. And so hopefully we're able to carry that out like we have in the past. And it's just been, pretty constant with trying to highlight our seniors and push that stuff out through really Facebook. Has been our biggest way to expose our students. And so just continue to try to do that, put stuff together. I know our students have done some videos, our teachers have done some videos. So a lot of that's just been gone out through email and again through Facebook. So it just turns into, you got so many people wanting to do so many different things, and everybody's got great ideas on how to do that stuff. We want to make sure that we don't try to water down everything and put together a bunch of I don't know, crap, so to speak, where we haven't put a lot of thought or just trying to throw things together just to appease people. And so we want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we're making sure that it's a good product and it's really highlighting our students. So that's kind of where we are with some of that stuff.
Sounds good. I know one of the, at Southest, they said they're doing a virtual senior award ceremony this Thursday, and it'll be on the district YouTube channel and Facebook. So, oh, Clark, thank you. Clark had to leave and said, thanks agreeing to meet this way with colleagues. We appreciate each of you. If there's anything MOS can do for you, don't hesitate. We appreciate Doug and Clark very, very much. So one of the items that I keep getting from new principals that are doing this, I have a mentee, and this is very hard for them. This is not something that I know that they ever imagined that they would have to endure their first year of being a principal, is how are they going to appreciate their teachers from afar? So again, Tom sent out some great things from MLDS. Hi, John, glad to see you could finally join us. John was having some problems joining in. Wondering what some of you have come up with, some neat or different ideas that you have come up with. I am sending out postcards with inside envelopes with gift cards to, we have a Krispy Kreme now in Cape for 2 free donuts and a cup of coffee for my teachers that have a goofy little saying, I do not know what I would do without you, with a donut. But that's what I did for them. And each postcard, of course, has a very special, heartfelt thank you to them that is handwritten. It's not one of those that you buy and, so I did that for them. And so I'm just curious as to what you all are doing for your teachers, since you can't do that. And then one of the thing is, how has the hiring process for filling vacant positions gone so far? I know we've been doing Zoom interviews. We have not met anybody face to face. And then calling a lot of people that are not on their reference lists to be sure that they are legit, I guess you could say. So how about those 2 questions to kind of drive to the end of our discussion? So teacher appreciation and hiring process.
Well, I can speak from East Carter. We gave all of our teachers a 3% raise across the district, increased their insurance by $1,200 a year, and something else last week, but I have not got there. We've been doing all of our interviews by Zoom as well. Early on, we did have a teacher to come in and interview, but that's before things got really lockdown.
One of the things,
Oh, Deborah, we lost you.
one of the things we're doing at Grandview is we got yard signs for all of our teachers. We're going to be hand delivering those out. Also, the parents have wanted to do something special for the teachers. So the teachers are finding something between no more than $20 or $30 on Amazon, putting it on a list. And the parents are purchasing and sending it to the teachers as a thank you as well. So that's something we're coordinating with our parents.
Deborah, I like the yard sign idea, and we actually kind of tossed that around a little bit. Then the project just seemed a little bit bigger than what I think we could have managed. We are going to put some things together, and we plan on trying to deliver those, our administrators deliver those to our teachers' houses as much as possible. And so that's something that we're going to try to do, very similar. And so for us, we try to reach out to some of our businesses, local businesses that have helped in the past, and see if they can help us with this as well. But it definitely looks different this year, and that's why we want to try to make it as personal as possible by going to our teacher's house. And like I said, at least the ones that we can reach. So.
Right. Well, I went through, have you guys used Matt O'Harver? He can do yard signs for $7. And we did something that we had a yard sign, and it basically says, an awesome educator lives here. It says Grandview High School, whatever, with our eagle. And he super quick about getting it. We'll have ours by first part of either end of this week or first part of next week. And at $7 a pop, I was able to get all 30. And he's actually making a specialized one for our nurse, since Nurses Day is the 6th. So there's actually one that says great nurse or an outstanding nurse or something like that lives here as well. So that's Matt O'Harver.
I'm sorry, what was the last name?
Matt O'Harver. Let me copy and paste you his email, and you guys can contact him.
Awesome. While you're doing that, Levi Rawson said West County allowed our teachers to choose a product through a store set up by BSN. They had a choice between about 6 different items. We're using Zoom to interview as well and have our first one today. Hope it goes well. Levi, it went pretty well for us. We've had about 5 interviews through Zoom, and they've done fairly well. So just be sure you have good internet access and hope that they have it good on the other side, because we had one that we never could get connected to, and we just had to do a conference call. So thank you, Deborah. She shared that for everybody. Matt O'Harver, mattphotography@yahoo.com. So thank you for that.
You're very, very welcome. If you give me a second, I'll share it, and so you can see what they created for us if you are interested.
Perfect. Anyone else?
You know, I got a couple different things that switching topics. I don't know if you still wanted to stay with those 2 topics.
Oh, no, please talk away. Yes.
Doug, have you, I know it's relatively early, but has the organization had any conversations regarding moving the start of the school year up? Like I know the Missouri School Board kind of briefly are having those discussions about possibly amending the 14 days before Labor Day and looking at possibly moving or allowing schools to move the school year up. I have no idea what that would look like, but do you guys know anything about that yet?
Oh, Doug, we can't hear you.
That's not an unusual thing. We have not heard anything in concrete, or I think there have been discussions about it in a variety of areas around the state. But I'm not sure, because that law just came into effect, maybe a year ago, or it's going to affect this year. I'm not sure how that will look coming up this August. So we'll have to kind of keep our ears open. I know that it's been mentioned, but nothing in concrete. And we didn't talk about it yesterday in our legislative meeting, or at least the part of it I was in, it was not mentioned. So keep our ears out, see what happens with that.
Seth, I do know that there was one talk about moving it up, and perhaps that we could do somewhat of a summer school if we started earlier this year. Again, that was something that I don't know where that talk came from, but my superintendent was talking about that. So I don't know if that's, Frank Killian is on the commissioner's board. So I don't know if that was talk that Dr. Van Deven, if they had talked about it in one of the commissioners' meetings or not. But I do know that the Stoddard County superintendents, it was a talk at one of their meetings. And I don't know if it was something that came from the commissioner's office or just one of the commissioner board meetings that Frank Killian had attended or what, but I do know that that was something that was brought up. So.
Seth, I also didn't get a chance to listen to the board meeting just because I was in so many different Zoom meetings yesterday. And I don't know if it was mentioned in that either. So it might be worth kind of looking into what was talked about at the state board meeting yesterday. Having not heard it, I can't reply to that. But I know it has been mentioned, at least in the circles of what we're doing right now. But I don't know if any action or anybody has gone to the state level with it yet.
Yeah, I think it may have been discussed briefly yesterday in the board meeting. I just saw something from MSBA on that. I think the biggest fear is another wave of COVID-19 coming in the fall, also mixed in with the flu, and how that could really be an issue for schools. And so I think the hope was, if it was possible, to move up the start of the school just to try to get some days in before maybe that next wave would hit. So I don't know. Another issue for us is summer school. And I don't know if this is something Kerwin said last week. I don't feel like it was mentioned, but I know it's come out since then, that if we do virtual summer school, then our athletes cannot practice or have their contact days. And again, I don't know the language on that. And so that becomes an issue because, again, if we do those, ideally we do about 16 days of summer school, it's looking about 4 weeks. So for that entire month, none of our athletes would be able to do anything. My interpretation of that is, since we're not able to have students on the school setting, just like we are right now, then our athletics cannot be practicing. So that becomes an issue. And we haven't really had these discussions yet, but I think ultimately we would look at trying to at least have small groups on campus for class, just to say that we're in session in the traditional classroom setting, so that our athletes can participate. But that could be a deal for large schools that may not be able to have the traditional summer school, but small schools are able to work around that. And so I think Kerwin's going to work on maybe putting something out. That's some small conversation I've been in with others that knew that was going to be an issue.
Seth, here's what I would do. Send a direct email to Kerwin with your exact scenario or scenarios that you're talking about. He'll answer them pretty quickly. So do you have his email? Okay, because it's Kerwin, Kerwin, at SAA.org. He's really quick at getting back to you. If he doesn't, your scenario is unique to anyone else, then he may consider that and obviously send that out as a good way to think of solving a problem or eliminating a problem. I think that's the best way to do it.
And Seth, as our president-elect, would you please share that information with the rest of us when you get that information from Kerwin?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I know our athletic director, John Martin's also kind of working on some of that. So I think they were waiting for just a little bit, either to verify whether or not that's true, or just maybe waiting for a little bit more information from him. So we'll continue those discussions. I know those are the two things that came out, at least were brought to my attention yesterday. And that's why I wanted to bring them up today, because they're both seem to me to be relatively new, where there's not a lot of information on them yet.
Of course, we don't have football like you all do, our marching band, but we We're back-to-back state champions in volleyball, and we'd
Mhm.
really like to get our girls back on the court. So that's important to us.
So,
Absolutely.
and I want to make sure I'm following this. So if you have summer school late and they're in summer school and practice, you're talking about summer workouts or summer contact period, why can't they participate in both?
If it's a virtual summer school, they cannot participate because they're not on campus. If it is a regular in-school summer school, then they can. But the problem is that they're saying that our summer schools, right now, the state isn't saying that we can have summer school. And if we do, it's looking more towards a virtual summer school than an on-campus summer school, which is why it's posing a cautionary flag for us that have fall sports, because our kids can't be on campus and having conditioning and practice.
Okay.
So
So does that apply also to the summer league pieces? Like, let's say, I'm going to say baseball. Baseball has a summer league that they play, a high school summer league. They can't participate even if it's off campus?
most of the high school leagues are Babe Ruth or they're Cal Ripken, and they're not associated with high schools.
Okay. Yeah.
So
See, like around here, they have several high school leagues that schools play in. Now, they obviously play at some of the high schools. So if they're restricted and can't be at the school, that eliminates that whole thing. But if they're playing at like Legion Parks or community parks, and they've let them do this now at that level, and I don't know the difference why they wouldn't be able to do it at their school versus at the park. But so you're saying that would eliminate those kind of things happening?
from my understanding, American Legion canceled their summer baseball and softball. I do not think that Cal Ripken or Babe Ruth has made their decision yet. I could be wrong, but the last I heard was that they had not made.
My husband's one of the coaches for the Jackson Legion, and I'm pretty sure he told me that it has not been 100% canceled yet.
Okay, thank
for the
you.
American Legion, but I know that he did say that they would, if Legion does cancel, then it would only be the private clubs that can still have things. Like, so Jackson's Legion is technically still under the Jackson Tribe umbrella, so I think that they're still considered a club. So they could, if
private club.
do that. But as of right now, I don't believe American Legion has canceled their summer ball.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would think that most anything they want to do outside of the school, they would still be allowed to do. I think most probably of this would fall just whatever falls within MSHA's bylaws as far as being around an actual school sponsor or coach and using school facilities. Again, this is not, I mean, it's still a little unclear, but the direct message was if you're having only a virtual summer school, then contact days are not allowed until that virtual summer school is over. And so, again, I think we'll get more clarification on this later this week on what that means.
Okay.
Mitch Nanny just posted, Legion has currently only canceled their World Series and regional tournaments. So I was misspoken. I do apologize. Unsure of what local teams will do. I had just heard that there was something that Legion had canceled, so I do apologize. Thank you.
It's going to be difficult if certain towns or areas cancel their Legion games or can't have their Legion games. It's going to impact a lot of other schedules. So it's kind of like in high school, if in the fall, if certain, if certain areas don't have or have a restriction where another area doesn't, it may impact those differently. So
Well, that's like what we were saying, Stoddard County can decide to be more stringent than what the governor posts But if Bollinger, Butler, and Cape County decide to be less stringent, then everybody's going to leave our county and go to those counties and take their businesses elsewhere. So I hope that our commissioner and our mayors and, you know, our government officials in our county decide to be smart and not put such stringent, you know, restrictions on our county and help our economy bounce back instead of restricting it even more and repressing our economy even more. So
A lot of decisions are based on these government officials and the well-being of towns.
yes. Does anybody have anything else that they want to discuss? Seth, great ideas and great topics that you brought up. Bryce, I'm just asking, do you have the contact information for Cape, for those of us that are closer to Cape, to order some of those yard signs? If somebody would need that information, could you post that on the group chat before we leave our meeting?
By the way, here is the picture. We're black and gold, by the way, so here's the picture. Oh, well, it doesn't allow me. It says I can't share the screen, and it won't let me paste it in the group chat.
I'll let you share it.
Okay.
I'll see if I can. So try it now.
That is what we have for our teachers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I'm touching it. So, and then also it says an amazing nurse lives here for our Nurses Day.
Those are awesome.
Those are great.
So for $7, and that's two-sided, I thought that was a really good deal. So we're going to take that and end up putting that in all of our teachers' yards. And parents have volunteered because they want to also help. So parents have volunteered to go with us, so it won't just be administration, and to be multiple people.
Very good.
That's awesome.
Great ideas.
Deborah, could you email that to me so that I can get his information also out for the whole SEMO region with that picture?
I can. I
Thank
can do
you.
that. I'll do it right now.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any pressing topics? Does everybody still want to meet next Tuesday once we hear a little bit more about how the governor's going to open up Missouri the rest of this week? Thumbs yes. Yes, perfect. Okay. Doug, you'll set that up for me. Okay. And Doug or Clark, one of them, will share this for those that couldn't be here today. They normally get that back to me by Wednesday or Thursday. So I'll share that to everybody also.
I think with Clark will be back in the office tomorrow, and
Okay.
it's easier to download from the office because we
Yes.
have fiber in the office, and we have, I think, chipmunks running on a little spool at our houses.
Make that wheel go fast.
Yeah, everybody in the neighborhood's using internet, so the usage goes from like 20 down to about 5, so it's really slow.
Oh, Bryce said that they use Bobby Brune at Mall Printing in Cape. So thank you, Bryce. I appreciate that.
Good deal. All right, well, I'll send this link to Gina. Invite your friends to join in if they're missing out.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember, you matter. Bye, guys.
See ya.